Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Jay's Fit Down podcast. I'm your host, Jaden. I'm here today with Ben Moore. He works for 24/7 Sports and he also covers the Georgia State Panthers. And we're going to be previewing their matchup against Georgia Tech that is taking place tomorrow night. So thank you, Ben, for coming on to talk that with me today.
Yeah, absolutely, Jade. Appreciate you having me, man.
Yes, sir. So this is the first meeting between Tech and State. Surprisingly, considering they're like within 5 miles of each other in Atlanta. So, um, this you first saw this matchup from the schedule. What did you think? Like, what was going through your mind?
Honestly, just credit to Georgia Tech, candidly, because I mean they don't have to play games like this, right? They don't have to. I grew up, athlete and athlete culture, and there's old, hip hop phrase, right? You never beef down, right? So Tech's been playing football for over 125 years. John Heisman was a coach at Georgia Tech. That's who they named the Heisman Trophy after. So, basically a legendary, program that's won multiple national championships. Playing Georgia State kind of extended this home and home. And that's the other side. A lot of folks haven't mentioned this year, or so far that I've heard in the last few weeks of coverage is this isn't a one-off. This isn't a, hey, by the way, we're going to throw them, a game here. Georgia Tech's coming back to Georgia State in 2026. So that'll be a tremendous matchup as well, considering the trajectory of these two programs. And, first year coach here at Del McGee at Georgia State. And then, of course, Brent Key, here. Now he's been on the staff over there at Tech a couple of years, but now being the head man a couple of years in now. So I'm excited for the matchup. I think it's great for the city of Atlanta. I'm a Metro Atlanta kid. Went to high school here. Obviously went to Georgia State for college, but just even covering high school recruiting in the Metro Atlanta area for almost 20 years now. Kids are excited about it. You want to see what's going on down there, and I think the way it's slotted too in the schedule is especially coming where University of Georgia and Clemson are at noon, and now every eye shifts basically to the 8 o'clock primetime matchup downtown. So it's going to be a great day in the city of Atlanta. There's a lot going on. There are still some tickets available. So if any listener, any folks that can want to go on the secondary market, I was telling a few folks, parking may be more expensive with Dragon Con in town than actual down there than the game tickets from what I'm seeing on the secondary market. But no, it should be a great matchup and a huge opportunity for Georgia State too. I mean, this is a program that's only been playing football for 15 years. The NCAA sanctioned, only been FBS since 2013. So, huge opportunity to try to stake a name out there. But huge underdogs, on Saturday night. But that's why they play the games. I've told people all week. I was in the building when the University of South Florida went into Florida State and shocked them, and led by a Tallahassee native. At quarterback, who was not recruited by Florida State at all, and that was a huge moment for the University of South Florida program. And any folks that have followed Georgia State football at all have kind of known that South Florida is about 12 years ahead of where Georgia State is. So it's kind of one of those deals where there are certain programs, UCF, South Florida, Houston, that Georgia State tried to model themselves out after when they were trying to build it in 2008, 2009, and even 2010 with Coach Bill Curry. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a blast. The weather's going to be hot, and lights are going to be on downtown Atlanta, man. I really, if you're a college football fan or just a fan of football at all in the Metro Atlanta area, man, there's all eyes, on the two programs that, like you said, are walking distance, on a decent day downtown Atlanta. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a student here at Georgia State, so this is something that it is interesting. I think it would be a fun experience for us as well. Going over to Tech, they have a really nice campus and everything. Bobby Dodd Stadium was just amazing. I had the chance to go a couple of times. This is just one of the best football stadiums I've ever been to. I think just to go over there and just kind of have that student experience and just kind of be in the atmosphere of Tech at that stadium, because historically it means a lot, and for the players I know it's a lot too, so it should be pretty fun. So matchup wise, getting to the gritty nitty of it, how, like, as far as matching up against Tech, like, we got some couple transfers in and stuff, so looking at our team, who are some guys that you're looking forward to watching in this game?
Yeah, it's wild. You go back and look and see certainly what happened in the spring, where you have Coach Sean Elliott, who led the program, the previous 6 seasons, exit really go home. He's from the state of South Carolina. I went back to go take the tight ends job there at the University of South Carolina. His family, lived over there as well. So Del McGee's thrust in. They had paused spring practice, so all the guys that were on the kind of the roster there, go through spring practice with a brand new head coach, brand new staff. There's only one, assistant coach that stayed on the staff that was on the previous staff, and cornerback Antrell Allen, who's a Georgia State former player and graduate. But then Dell kind of went into the portal, reassessing the needs and kind of what the styles he wanted to do there. And from the start of last season, I believe the number is either 50 or 51 new players that have been added to this roster since the team won their bowl game, and they're in Boise, Idaho. So a lot of new faces, a lot of unknowns. We kind of have an idea. The depth chart kind of popped out. Shout out to Brady Weiler for grabbing that. But even the depth chart kind of had some names that may have not been completely accurate. I'm not in the meeting rooms with Georgia State football coaches, but there are guys that were listed on there that I'm not 100% sure that are actually going to start. But this is part of the gamesmanship too of college football. It's week one, right? The
Absolutely,
coach,
yeah.
so some of the coaches want to put the Donald Duck and Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse on there just to try to throw curveballs at their opponents and the gamesmanship. But we'll see it pretty quickly. Everyone likes to talk about the quarterback. I think there's a lot of storylines that are really interesting to me, at least, as you have two former Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket players that have an opportunity to play and probably have an impact on this game. Defensively, Kenyatta Watson II was there last year. His dad was on the staff. Was a great player at Grayson, and then went to Texas, and then bounced to Tech, and now to Atlanta, looking to kind of find his opportunity. And I know he'll be playing with an edge against some guys that he played with in practice every day. And Zach Gibson, Zach Gibson's, I believe the number's either 26th or 27th career start if he is the guy. A quarterback who played with Georgia Tech in the 2022 season and came from Akron, where he played 3 seasons. So, I think, and even the matchups off the field, right, where you the coaching staff, you have multiple coaches on either side that were at the other sideline last year. I think that, again, from a writing and a storyline point of view, is just a lot of fun and a lot of interest that way. Kevin Shearer was the linebackers coach, and then elevated to defense coordinator last year. He knows more about this offense than anybody, right? They returned 80% of their production over there at Tech. They look certainly, very solid in knocking off a top 10 opponent in Florida State in Dublin, Ireland. But as I kept saying throughout the week, and even kind of leading up to Saturday, and then after Saturday, I was saying, that international travel's a lot for 18 to 22-year-olds. Man, it's a 7-hour flight, playing a very physical game against Florida State coming over. But hey, you get a night game under the lights there. Bobby Dodd should be boosted, and Tech is favored for a reason. They have talent on offense and defense. Their defensive line is very impressive. Offensive line certainly was very impressive last Saturday, knocking off arguably the ACC's best defensive line. Panthers have an opportunity. We saw that certainly in 2019 with Tennessee, going to Auburn a couple years ago and kind of knocking them around before succumbing late. So this is what a group of 5 in a Sun Belt program like Georgia State wants to do. They want to have that opportunity in week one, not really knowing what's going to happen. And Del McGee has even alluded to up to 4 quarterbacks or guys that could play quarterback, maybe taking snaps. So he's going to throw everything at this Tech defensive staff, and he's beaten Tech a lot too as a position coach at the University of Georgia. So he's familiar with a lot of the personnel and the schemes and things that are going to be over there, and he'll be facing some of his former coworkers as well. As Buster Faulkner calls plays as offensive coordinator for the University of Georgia. They were on staff together on the offensive staff up there for Kirby Smart. So there's a lot of familiarity in a lot of different ways, and I think there's a lot of intrigue in this as well. And again, Georgia State, if they play well, will be in the game for all 4 quarters.
Yeah, I agree. Another thing I noticed with Georgia Tech too, watching that game against FSU, man, ran the ball extremely well. Like they killed counter to death, and FSU couldn't stop it. Um, I was just watching because being I used to play myself, and counter was a play we ran a lot in high school, and it worked. And even if it's like when they couldn't stop it, we kept running, and they kept
Yeah.
running it really well. They kept getting
Yeah.
movement on the offensive line, so
But and that's the biggest thing too. I mean, that was my takeaway as well. Watching the game and on the rewatch the defensive line itself wasn't so bad. They were getting whipped on social media and other places, but with the counter, you have linemen moving different places, and you get to that second level and taking on the linebackers. I thought the Florida State linebackers played very poorly. They missed a lot of tackles. You saw a lot of guys slipping and sliding on that turf as well, and not making excuses necessarily for the linebackers because they're again, neither team was on their home surface. But I think that was fascinating to see as you just saw guys, and honestly, that Florida State didn't force Haynes King to pass a lot. I mean, he was efficient. Only 16 passes. I do expect the game plan, certainly the wide receivers, man. Everybody wants to eat, right? So they want to try to throw the ball a little bit deeper, get the crowd involved, and I think that's very interesting in the first quarter. Who takes the ball? Who wants to go out there and set the tone? Is that something that Del McGee wants to do, or if he wants to say, hey, I want to know where I'm going to be at in the second half? Sean Elliott was a guy that was a take the ball guy. He wanted to dictate the tone. As we saw in the last few years, he was a 65% run the football guy and had an athletic quarterback that can both run and pass efficiently. So, we're all starting to we also want to learn about what Del McGee wants to do as a head coach. This is only going to be his second ever game, as the head man. He was an interim coach for Georgia Southern in their bowl game. Again, shoot, almost 10 years ago now. It's amazing to think of that. But, I'm interested to learn not only kind of his, what he's looking for in his team, but again, his coordinator style. What personnel he's been not evasive. I think some folks have said he's kind of hiding stuff or doing this, that, and the other. And part of it is just not going to give the other team any comments or any kind of conversations or reasons to go back and do the deep dive and study film. But he does have returning talent, and that's important. And he also loaded up in a lot of different areas on both sides of the ball, and those guys are ready to play as well. I was really interested to see how many transfers he added that really only have like 1 year of eligibility, 2 years of eligibility left. That's something that he's been very public about, is using the transfer to kind of find those guys that may be trying to find that next or last stop, kind of put their mark on college football before trying to make a career elsewhere or professionally. And also, he's not he understands the portal at the Group 5 level as well, where guys ball out and they go to bigger programs, as we saw last night. I mean, former Georgia State running back Marcus Carroll scored 2 touchdowns for Missouri, and will be very much in the mix for a program that will likely be in conversation for college football playoff berth.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do miss Marcus Carroll. Marcus Carroll was amazing. Had the opportunity to watch him, a lot last year in person. I'm like, man, this dude is like really. But anyway, I wish him the best at Missouri. But yeah, just it's gonna be very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting to see. So, so overall, what would you say is just like, you're like final just keys to the game for state, just like, like going in like, hey, it's first game of the year. What would you be telling if you were the coach? What would you tell this team?
Yeah. Yeah, biggest thing is just focus. You're going to come out. Honestly, it's game one, right? You're going to be nervous. You're going to be anxious. You're going to want to do a lot. You want to do a whole bunch. Unfortunately, as cliche as it sounds, you can only do what you can do one play at a time. I think ultimately the one thing that we have seen so far, especially the games last night, turnovers dictate the score a lot. Teams that turned the ball over several times, got blown out. Teams that were able to leverage, the other team's turnovers were in the game. Also, staying on the field on third down. That's a humongous thing the Panthers have been able to do when they've been able to keep games close against Tennessee and Auburn and dictate that. And even the first half last year against the number one offense in the country in LSU, they were able to trade some body blows back and forth with LSU just before Jaden Daniels did what Jaden Daniels did to pretty much everyone else last year in his Heisman Trophy winning season. So, I think certainly Tech is a talented program and a talented team. I think what the Panthers are going to have to do, they're going to have to really, again, hold on to the ball, not turn the ball over, not make the mental mistakes that just get wobbled. Or, you get beat on a play. Ultimately, you got to shake that one off. And, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a raucous crowd, very excited crowd coming off a victory there in week 0 in Dublin. But, This team, for the most part, and have guys that played in much bigger atmospheres, and that's not a knock to Georgia Tech at all. It's just, I mean, you're 51,000. I mean, this team went to Death Valley last year at LSU. They've been, guys on this team, again, as I mentioned, been to Auburn. Had a lead basically late in the fourth quarter in that game. Been to South Carolina, had a lead in the third quarter there, for some special teams blunders, kind of, push that margin out. So, again, just to make it a four quarter game, you want to be in there. You want to make them feel you. That's the one thing. Dell is, coming from the University of Georgia, where they really focused on physicality. You really want to get up in somebody, make them feel you for four quarters, and that's why I just think, I mean, circle the first quarter of this game. You're going to know by 8:15, 8:30 if the Panthers are here and going to be in this game and be felt. And I'm pretty confident, certainly talking to Dell and his staff, that they've got a plan in place. And you never know. I mean, you could have a gadget play or two. You could have something that folks haven't really seen on tape, and even some names on tape, may not even been listed on the depth charts we've seen. I mean, Jordan Ford was listed as a captain the other day, and he wasn't even on the depth chart. I know he's healthy. I mean, we talked to him in the preseason, so I'm like, all right, well, because I had somebody, one of my tech guys, reach out and was like, "Who's this Jordan Ford guy?" I said, "Yeah, he's pretty explosive, guy from Tulsa." So keep in mind, Del McGee coach running backs. The running back room at Georgia State is going to be loaded and stocked with dudes that can absolutely play. So, it's going to be interesting to see who sets the tone, and ultimately this team that sets the tone early should be in it for all four quarters. And I'm hoping for a really good game. Hoping for folks that come out. From what I understand, Georgia State has sold out their allotment of tickets, and there's a lot of folks that are, buying, and whether it's secondary market or from Georgia Tech, I think there's a few tickets available there as well. So should be a good crowd. Folks are, coming out and excited about, city of Atlanta and two of the programs on display, which is just awesome.
Yes, yes, it should be very exciting. I will be there tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be really fun. They're calling it. A lot of
The
people are
Marta
calling it.
Bowl, right?
Yeah, right. The Marta Bowl, or the Battle of Atlanta, wherever. So it's like this is.
Downtown, Midtown. I've seen
Yeah.
that. We saw that one early, and
Hmm.
it's a lot of fun. I mean, the thing about it, and a big nod to Dave Cohen. He and I were on a podcast a couple nights ago, and he talked about it. I mean, this series, the two institutions, is not new. They've played in sports for literally decades: basketball and baseball and softball, and the Olympic sports and things like that. And I think football means more, right? You only get 12 opportunities. There's certainly a level of, you're going to get more folks at a football game than you may get at all of your baseball or softball games combined. So I think it certainly means a lot, and I think both teams need a good showing. I mean, Tech fans are walking in there and probably thinking absolutely they can start the season 2-0, getting the bad taste out of their mouth from the last few years and kind of moving on. And State's looking at, hey, great opportunity, and going basically against a hometown team. You can just probably sleep in your own bed. I really know Del McGee's plans. I don't know if the guys are sleeping in their own bed, or if they got a hotel or not, but they certainly don't have to travel very far. You don't have to leave that early before the game to get there. So
Nope.
should be good, and again, showcasing downtown Atlanta. So look forward to seeing all the Panther faithful out there.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ben, for joining us on the show today. Just talking football here, and Georgia State football versus Tech. It's going to be, like I said, very exciting. It'll be really fun. Hope everybody can come out. So it'll be a really electric atmosphere at Bobby Dodd. Like I said, historical stadium, very fun, very nice place. If you haven't been, like, I highly encourage you. I mean, it's awesome. So I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, thank you for coming on the show today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jaden. Appreciate it. Look forward to doing it in the future if you will have me.
Yes, sir. Of course. Thank you, man. And we will be talking very soon. All right, man. Thank you.